Well, we're very pleased to be joined now by USL President Tim Holt. Tim, thanks for joining us today.
My pleasure, Nicholas.
Well, first of all, welcome back. I know you had a long West Coast trip this past weekend, but we were able to see the pictures, we were able to see the video from Sacramento. You were on the ground there. What was that experience like as a fabulous opening night for Republic FC?
Well, you know, it couldn't have gone better. I mean, I think it exceeded everybody's expectations, even maybe theirs, if they were honest. You know, anytime you launch a franchise, you want there to be a buzz and excitement in the city and in the sports community, and they just overperformed on all fronts. There were 20,000 people. I feel like half of them were in the ground 2 hours before when the gates opened, and there was just a flood of people that came through, and it was a celebration. It was a celebration of soccer. It was a celebration of the city of Sacramento, and Sacramento Republic certainly put themselves on the national soccer map Saturday night in a real big way.
You've obviously gotten to know the owner, Warren Smith, very well over the last couple of years. The vision that he seems to have for this franchise and the ability that he has to, the knowledge that he brings as a sports executive is obviously a big driving force behind this club. What's it been like to get to know him and see the way that he's been able to build this franchise?
Well, he's a pretty remarkable individual and leader. You know, we've felt that way from our earliest meetings with him 2 or 3 years ago, when he had this vision to bring a professional soccer team to Sacramento through USL PRO, just like he had a vision with his partner 15, 20 years ago to bring a minor league baseball team there. And the River Cats have been ultra successful, and you know, by every metric. And I think certainly he's very experienced. He learned a lot from that experience, but he just has a tremendous way from a leadership standpoint with his staff, with people. You know, with the corporate partners that they've gotten behind this, with the leaders in the community, all the way from Mayor Johnson, you know, all the way through to the city council people. So he's someone that's great with relationships. He's someone that understands the business of the sport, and he's a great leader. So you know, we couldn't have a better captain of the ship in Sacramento than Warren Smith, and you know what they've been able to do, putting the team together, building a brand. And then, you know, coming out of the gates with that type of fan support is truly remarkable.
Now, while you were out on the West Coast, you obviously talk about Warren Smith's experience in sports executives. You had another new ownership group out in Arizona, where not necessarily in previous sporting executive experience, but incredibly successful advertising executive experience with Kyle Eng and Arizona United. That team seems to really be on a firm footing and a really solid performance against the LA Galaxy too, where they're able to now get a couple of games undefeated, and they really seem to be building something strong there on the field and off the field.
Yeah, I had the opportunity to spend all Friday with Kyle Eng and the new owner in Arizona United SC and his staff, both on the in the advertising office and on the soccer side, and what they've done in 5 weeks. It's been 5 weeks, literally 5 or 6 weeks, is the type of stuff that really is achievable only in probably 5 or 6 months or longer. So they've covered a lot of ground. They didn't have much time. They came in under really challenging circumstances, and they've made no excuses. They've just gotten after it. Putting in the long hours, re-engaging, rebuilding relationships in the soccer community, and trying to get people excited about pro soccer presented in a very different way. I think their biggest asset, and Kyle's biggest asset, is engagement. It's just engagement with people, whether it's the Supporters Club, LFR, who are one of the real strengths in Phoenix professional soccer, to everyone. And he's obviously using and leveraging a lot of the relationships and credibility that he's developed in that market. He's a local guy. He's a local Peoria guy. I think the best way to describe Kyle and that new ownership group is they're all in. They're all in to making this successful, and he's a resident. He was there before, and he'll be there all throughout this. So early days, but in their own way, that what they've done here in the last 5 weeks, including having 3,000 people out, for the LA Galaxy 2 game on a Friday night, is equally as impressive as anything that we saw in Sacramento or Oklahoma City.
It's very interesting to me, the fact that they've been able to put such a cohesive team on the field in basically the span of 3 to 4 weeks. And Michael Della Russo has done a terrific job, not only bringing in players of the quality of Paolo Del Piccolo, but also making this cohesive and making this immediately competitive.
Well, full credit to Coach Della Russo, full credit to Kevin Stevenson, who's been the architect of bringing Coach in and working completely on the soccer side decide to sign players and a lot of top guys. Look, when they put this team together, they started from scratch 6 weeks ago, and everybody was signed. Quote unquote, everybody was signed on different teams, so they've had to be really creative and resourceful. And so the talent's there. It's a good roster. It's just they're behind. They're a couple months behind in certain cases. Other teams, they were 3 months behind their opponent the other night. So how quickly does that congeal? And look, it's going to take some time. We're excited to see both on and off the field what they're able to do with a full season's off season's prep time. But none of them, us or them, are writing off this season as an experiment. It's going to be a positive and productive 2014, but it'll be the foundation block for what they're able to do in the longer term.
Now, I know one of the things that you discussed while you were in Arizona was potential expansion for 2015. We already have announced that Colorado Springs and the Tulsa Roughnecks are going to be part of the league, and you mentioned that there may be some announcements maybe an announcement coming up in the next month or so. How are things moving on that front? And with the success of the Galaxy 2, is there the potential for more MLS reserve sides to be joining USL Pro next season?
Yeah, good question, Nicholas. I don't think fans are going to have to wait a whole month for the next exciting announcement. I think we can measure that in probably in shorter time increments. So stay tuned to this space, and we've got an exciting announcement coming here in a matter of days as it relates to USL Pro expansion, and it'll be a big one. But it'll be the next in a progression. It won't be the last one for the 2015 cycle, certainly. So there's sort of, we'll call it expansion, and then the MLS expansion, the traditional expansion and MLS expansion. So from a traditional expansion standpoint, things are really starting to click for us. I think a lot of the changes we made 3 or 4 years ago about the structure of the league and the model of the league and the positioning of the league are starting to pay dividends. They're starting to resonate with the type of owners and the type of markets that we seek. And then on the MLS side, what Galaxy 2 have done and the investment, and it's not been without hiccups, and both us and them are learning as we go. But what they're proving is that this can be a really positive, certainly player development model from their standpoint, and simultaneously be a very positive league growth situation and membership situation for USL Pro. So, look, we couldn't be more excited about where we are right now, but all that does is inspire us to work harder and smarter about continuing to build the property.
Well, Tim, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. We really appreciate it. We'll let you get back and let you get on with the rest of the stuff you've got to do today, but thanks so much for your time.
Thanks for having me, Nicholas.